The Broncos have found their man, a big-time hire, a home run hire. The 20th head coach in franchise history is Sean Payton. Welcome into the studio. I am Phil Milani alongside Sidney Jones and Eric Dalala. Guys, the Broncos are getting a Super Bowl winner in here as head coach. Sidney, what was your reaction?
Phil, I'm excited. I think owner and CEO Greg Penner went out there and did exactly what he said he was going to do, bringing in, someone with extensive head coaching experience, someone who's a proven leader, a culture builder, someone who can bring an offensive identity here. I think Sean Payton is a great hire, and, you said it, a Super Bowl winner. He's won, 7 division titles with the Saints, reached the playoffs 9 different times. And if you think about the offense that he built when he was there, it was revolutionary, and I think he's going to come here and do the exact same thing.
He had a lot of success in New Orleans with Drew Brees. Sean Payton, Drew Brees. Now it's Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. Eric, what do you think about that pairing?
Yeah, I mean, Phil, it is about more than Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. Of course, it's about this whole team, but those are the two guys that are going to draw the eyeballs here. And if the Broncos want to be more successful in 2023, they've got to get more out of Russell Wilson. Sean Payton's coming here to do that. I think what's interesting, Phil, is you think about Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and they threw the ball more than any team in the NFL for most of Sean Payton's time there. But what I find interesting is they pivoted toward the end, and they actually became a much more balanced football team, ran the ball a lot more, still finished in the top 10 in total offense. And so what that shows me is that you're not necessarily just getting one system if Sean Payton is coming here. It's not necessarily his way or the highway. I think he's going to find a way to get the most out of Russell Wilson, the most out of guys like Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. He's going to find a way to propel this entire unit forward and score more points, and that's critical if the Broncos are going to improve.
Yeah, he's a culture changer. I mean, everything in the building is going to change dramatically under Sean Payton. Sidney, you mentioned it. He checks a lot of boxes. 15 years there in New Orleans, the 2006 AP Coach of the Year, and he really turned things around very quickly. In 2005, the Saints were 3-13. His first year there, they go 10-6, make the playoffs. You expect things to change that quickly here?
Oh yeah, Phil. I sure hope they do. And it's kind of going back to what Eric just said. He's had some great experience with a lot of great quarterbacks in this league, and I really do think it's very dependent on his relationship with Russell Wilson. And we heard reports come out over the past couple weeks that Russell reached out to Sean Payton throughout this process. And I think back to when Russell Wilson spoke following the end of the season, and he had some high praise for Sean Payton. He, said he's one of the world's best, and the fact that they already have that relationship built, I mean, it is great. And I think if you're a Broncos fan, you're excited about what's to come.
Yeah, they've spent some time together at those NFC Pro Bowls, and of course Russell Wilson said that a guy that he likes to watch play is Drew Brees, so who better than Sean Payton to bring in here. Eric, though, the Broncos had to give up a little something to get Sean Payton. Payton, of course, spent last year working for Fox. His rights still belong to the Saints, so the Broncos have to make a deal here. What have you been hearing about that?
Yeah, Phil, according to some reports out there, the Broncos are going to give up their first-round pick in 2023 that, of course, they acquired back in the fall when they traded Bradley Chubb to the Miami Dolphins. They're also going to give up next year's second, but they'll get the Saints' third back in return. So it's not a small price tag here, but I think you're looking for a leader who, like you said, Phil, can transform this organization, can get you back to where you need to be. That's going to come with a cost here, and I think the Broncos showed they were willing to pay that in order to get their guy.
And after hiring 3 first-time head coaches in a row, Vance Joseph, Vic Fangio, Nathaniel Hackett, the Broncos are getting an experienced guy in here. This is a different kind of story, right? I mean, this is not what we're used to, certainly the last several years around here.
No, certainly not, Phil. And, throughout this whole head coaching process, there's been a ton of speculation and a lot of unknowns, but, ownership, they were very deliberate, very intentional about, what they wanted and who they wanted, and, they got their guy.
Now what's next, Eric? He's going to come in here and he's got to get to work, got to make some changes quickly. I'm assuming getting a staff together is the number one thing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. You'll have to see if he calls plays here, if he's going to have somebody else do that. What do you do defensively? Those are all questions that will need to be answered. But I do think, like Sidney mentioned a little bit, just knowing that you have someone who's done this before, it really helps. You don't have to worry about, hey, how do you set up a joint practice, or how do you do your schedule during the year, or how do you plan training camp, all those sorts of things. He's done this before for a really long time. He's experienced. He knows what this offseason is going to look like. And I think, too, he's probably refreshed after spending the last year at Fox. He mentioned he was kind of drained at the end of his New Orleans tenure. He's going to come in here, I think, ready to go.
And one last note here on Sean Payton. He went to college at Eastern Illinois. His number 18 jersey is retired there, played quarterback in the early 80s there. The last time the Broncos made a hire at the head coaching spot from Eastern Illinois, it worked out pretty well. Mike Shanahan, of course. So the Sean Payton, the big news here today, the next head coach for your Denver Broncos, the 20th in franchise history. That's going to do it for us. For Eric Delisle and Sidney Jones, I'm Phil Milani.